Coming up on Mountain News this morning, we talked with one official about how Pike County is feeling the financial pinch from COVID-19. Staying in Pike County, folks are mourning the loss of a longtime public servant who died earlier this week. We talked with them about the legacy he leaves behind. And we take a look at how funeral homes here in eastern Kentucky are operating under the newly loosened restrictions on memorial services.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 5:30 on this Friday, May the 22nd. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning in to Mountain News This Morning. Yesterday, a little bit soggy in some places. This morning, a little bit foggy. Let's bring Brandon in, who will give us a better idea of what we should expect heading into maybe some travel for a Memorial Day weekend. Brandon, good morning.
Good morning, my friend, and yes, we are seeing the fog this morning, so if you're traveling today, make sure you give yourself plenty of time if you're getting out this morning, but if you're getting out later, it's going to be back and forth with the rain and the sun and the clouds, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But this morning, lots of folks there below that 5-mile threshold for visibility, and we're seeing lots of folks below 1 mile of visibility this morning, so dense fog around everywhere. Be careful. Buffalo Mountain this morning, not too bad up there on the ridges, though. It's mostly that valley fog, so we're continuing to watch that. Temperatures, we are looking at the 50s pretty much area wide there. We'll see 52 there in Wise and 59 in Irving, getting close to 60 there. It is 60 in Louisville and getting close there in Lexington as well. Your 12-hour planner, it's going to be a mix of sun and cloud. I think we start out with some sun this morning with a mix of a stray shower in there, but it's going to be foggy, and those chances will increase as we head into the afternoon, and kind of like yesterday, start to decrease again as we get later into the day as temperatures top out right around the 70-degree mark this afternoon. We'll have the rest of the forecast on the way here in just a little bit. Will?
All righty, Brandon, thank you. Well, a report from the state auditor says the Lawrence County attorney violated Section 3 of Kentucky's Constitution by awarding bonuses for work that was not performed. WYMT's Lacey Roberts sat in on a news conference with State Auditor Mike Harmon yesterday and has the details.
Over a period of 2 fiscal years, a review of Attorney Michael Hogan's office revealed extra bonuses.
Over $134,500 in bonuses to employees.
4% of that bonus money was given to his wife. $126,500 in addition to her $40,000 yearly salary.
It indicates a substantial personal benefit to the county attorney and potentially violates the county's local code of ethics.
Under state law, awarding bonuses for work not performed violates Kentucky's Constitution. Reaching out to Hogan, he declined to talk about the audit, but gave a statement.
We responded fully to every finding that was relevant to our office, and we stand fully behind those responses.
Stating the office was following all current guidelines on distributing funds from the delinquent tax fund.
We have broken no laws and made no expenditures that were grossly, unfairly, or illegally dispersed.
Agreeing to comply with all future guidelines and hoping the General Assembly will provide stricter guidelines in the future. Lacey Roberts, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, the findings were handed over to several organizations, including the FBI and Kentucky Attorney General's office for further investigation. Well, Hazard Police is asking everyone in Perry County to stay alert after a string of car thefts. During the last few weeks, there have been 4 or 5 stolen cars, not only in the city, but also the county. Hazard Police say it's been different suspects in every case, but they say there are a few precautions you can take to make sure this does not happen to you.
Well, if your vehicle's parked at your home, of course, make sure that you lock it when you're not around it. Also, make sure that anything that's on the inside of the vehicle, that you don't leave anything valuable or anything that somebody could just walking by see and say, hey, I'd like to have that. If you're out in the community, like if you pull into a gas station, just make sure that if you're gassing up, turn your vehicle off and lock it while you're gassing up.
If you have any information about any of the thefts, you can call the Hazard Police Department at 606-436-2222. Well, Louisville Metro Police Chief Steve Conrad is leaving the department. The decision comes during the criticism of LMPD over the officer-involved shooting of Breonna Taylor. Louisville Mayor Greg Fisher did not give a specific reason for Conrad's departure. Conrad had served as a police chief of LMPD since 2012. Well, Kentuckians are still trying to get paid for unemployment as thousands more file for benefits. The latest job claims show more than 47,000 additional claims were filed for the week ending May 16th. WIMT's Phil Pendleton talked with a woman who lost her job in April and is still waiting on a check.
Andrea Baba was the victim of an ironic situation during COVID-19. Medical procedures were canceled to prevent the healthcare system from being overwhelmed, and medical people lost their jobs.
Yeah, they cut my hours, and I haven't really worked in over a month or month and a half. So.
Now she's overwhelmed trying to get her unemployment.
Yes, been on hold for hours and it'll hang up. Haven't been able to get through anything like that yet.
She's not alone. Nearly 800,000 Kentuckians have entered the unemployment rolls since March.
Fortunately, I have enough money saved up for right now. Has been helping me, but that is slowly running out.
Kentucky's unemployment rate is a whopping 15.4%, according to the latest numbers from the month of April. That compares to the United States rate of 14.7%. And if you look back a year ago, it was only 4.3%. What makes Baba's situation even worse is that she's expecting a baby, and there's no indication she'll be going back to work anytime soon.
I might not even be able to go back to work. I mean, I don't know after my maternity leave or, anything like that. That's just up in the air for right now, yeah.
Baba says what's also sad is that she loved her job as a med tech, and now her future seems so uncertain. In Franklin County, Phil Pendleton, WIMT Mountain News.
State officials say Kentucky's civilian labor workforce was reduced by more than 200,000 people from March to April of this year. Well, local governments are planning to look at where they might feel the strain for COVID-19. In Pike County, Judge Executive Ray Jones and his fiscal court are budgeting a $600,000 deficit in their occupational and net profit taxes. That's in addition to a loss of state road aid funds and declining coal and mineral severance tax. Jones says they should have a better feel for everything later in the summer.
We'll know more in the first quarter of the fiscal year. We should get that money in toward the end of July. We'll have an idea of where the occupational tax cut, whether we cut too much or we didn't cut enough.
Jones says over the past decade, Pike County has seen their coal and mineral severance tax decrease significantly. Well, Toyota confirms someone has tested positive for COVID-19 at their Georgetown plant. A spokesperson says the case involves an on-site vendor employee. That employee has not worked on-site since the 14th of May. Toyota says the employee will remain in self-isolation until they are cleared by a doctor. Toyota employees returned to the Georgetown plant on the 11th of May after it was shut down for more than 5 weeks. Another inmate has died of COVID-19 complications from the Federal Medical Center in Lexington. The health department says the person who died is a man in his 60s. According to the Bureau of Prisons website, there are currently 212 cases involving FMNC inmates and 4 active staff cases. The Lexington-Fayette County Health Department only reported 5 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday. Well, something you may not have thought of is being included in Kentucky's reopening plan. Funeral homes can now allow more people for funeral services. Originally, funeral homes could only allow 10 family members to attend a funeral. But as of Wednesday, funeral homes can now allow 33% of their capacity to join services of a loved one. The owner of Engel Bowling Funeral Home in Hazard says their 33% capacity limit is 71 people. He says they are taking steps to make sure the well-being of families, community members, and staff are met.
We will have a funeral director at the door. Nobody will have to touch anything. That's our goal, to better serve the families to make people feel comfortable in the community. Ourselves, as funeral directors, we will be wearing masks and gloves out of respect to the public.
Lounge areas in funeral homes will have to remain closed, along with encouraging one person to use the restroom at a time. Well, folks in Pike County are mourning the loss of a longtime public servant. The former Pike County Sheriff and Judge Executive William Bill Deskins died on Wednesday. WYMT's Buddy Forbes spoke to some people who worked right by his side.
Former Pike County Judge Executive Bill Deskins celebrated his 90th birthday in February.
Bill lived a very good life, loved by many. Today needs to be a celebration of his life.
Deskins died in his home Wednesday. But with decades of service to the community, his memory carries on in the things he impressed on the people who love him.
His work ethic, his generosity, his sense of humor.
Bill Deskins. Qualities that former co-workers and neighbors say are hard to come by.
No one could outwork him, and no one had the spirit.
Deskins served as Pike County Sheriff for 2 terms and held the seat of Pike County Judge Executive for 2 non-consecutive terms, his most recent run ending in 2019.
I've had the honor of Bill being my mentor and working with him as his deputy judge. Bill would own the room, but he would sit and listen.
And while many will remember him as a servant to the county,
not exactly right, but most of it.
Jailer Brian Morris says he was so much more.
If you knew Bill Deskins, you know, some of his greatest memories is him working. And I'm not talking about in the judge's office or in the sheriff's office. I'm talking about on a piece of equipment on a mountain moving dirt.
And he always remembered where he came from.
His family was always first in his mind and first in his heart.
Leaving everyone else to remember what he accomplished.
He's just going to be a great historical figure in our county, and his legacy will live for a long time.
And the man he was. In Pike County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Several of the county employees say the loss hits hard, remembering Deskins as someone who has always had their back as long as they were serving the county to the best of their abilities. We have a link to the funeral arrangements on our website over at WYMT.com. Well, just ahead on Mountain News this morning, we show you why many Netflix account holders could see their services be canceled in the near future.
The unofficial beginning in December coming this weekend with the Memorial Day holiday. What we're going to expect weather-wise, I'll tell you in about 3 minutes.